Welcome to this edition of the Million Dollar Mastermind podcast. This is where we pick the brains of high achievers from all walks of life and get their hard-earned, real-world insights on winning. I'm your host, Larry Weidel.
Good morning, big hitters. This is Harvey Corrales, and guys, I'm so proud, super jacked up to have you on the call this morning. And the tables have turned on today's call. We have $1 Million earner Mario at Arrizon, who will be interviewing Larry Weidel. Put your pen to paper. I'm going to turn it over to the host, Adam Weidel.
All right, Harvey, thank you. Before we get started, let's say hello to our speakers, Larry and Mario Arrizon. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Mario, I'm going to turn it over to you to interview Larry on the Warpath call. It's all you.
Perfect. Let's do this. Good morning, big hitters. What an honor to switch it around and start interviewing Larry Weidel that totally has revolutionized the company with this amazing call. Guys, let me tell you the power of this call. When I first got started getting in this call, my base was running 50 by 50, and that was my all-time high. And 3 months later into this call, him challenging me and coaching me and hearing the best of the best of the entire company, our base sharp started running 100 by 100, and this was in the end of 2011, and we've been averaging that since then. It's unbelievable. So thank you so much, Larry. And I've been talking to you, and every time I talk to you, you're talking about this orientation warpath. What is that all about? What do you want to do with that, Larry? Explain that.
The main thing was I started Operation Warpath. We've been doing the big hitter call for a long time, and frankly, it got boring because the thing is, this company's just not growing. It's not worth the crap on growth. It's a fabulous company, unbelievable. The stock grows, or the stock price, but it's just boring as crap to me, really. I'm an explosive growth guy. Pardon me, forgive me. I get bored quickly, and I get bored with this go slow, professorial, corporate, grow a few percent, this, that, the other. I'm an explosive growth guy. And I think the company is in this fog, man. It kind of drugged me. It's drugged all of us into this fog where we just go to, you make some money, la-di-da, but we're not having any friggin' fun. We're not dominating the universe. We're not exploding and going. We don't have enough people that have double, triple, quadruple, mind-blowing things happen, And in the beginning days, we like a fireworks of explosion. We have people going to 1,000 recruits, 5,000 recruits in a 18-month period of time, 36-month period of time, seemed like on a regular basis. And Angela Williams and I used to talk about that. That's what drove the company. None of this. Now, the thing is, what's so great about what Art did last week with the fundamentals and what he's doing on this Art Williams Best is he's giving you the fundamentals. You can't build a skyscraper without fundamentals. You got the president founder built a 40-plus year juggernaut of a company, and you build that on people and relationships and principles. And everyone's got their own policies, and we change things, and guidelines come and go, and products come and go, but the principles never change. So if you're not building your business and your relationships on sound principles, what do you expect the foundation to be? Making money? Because you always have slumps. You want it to be something that lasts. And so that's why I loved about what Art, and he just busted his gut to try and share. But, he's a man. He's one guy. He's 25 years gone from the company. So his memory is razor sharp on some things, and some things it ain't quite so sharp. And he's also, it's sharp on just about everything. But I'll tell you that some things, his recollection of how it went. And I know how it went, man. So I'm going to share a lot of that with you. But the thing I wanted to do with Operation Warpath, and while we're doing it here, Mario, on this call, I don't want to waste too much time on it, is I want to do something that would bring out my best. Because if you got to be your own coach, you got to monitor yourself, Mario. And once you get successful, it's easy to settle in the pattern. And I think you're working too hard myself. I think it's great to get your people to work, but I think Mario is working too hard. It's great for his people to work, but I mean, Mario, you got to be ready for a 50-year run as young as you got started. You want to help get your kids established in the business and enjoy all that stuff. But I'm just messing with you. You know that. The thing is that I do care about your mental health. You can't wear your butt out on little minutia type things. You got to become a progressively a bigger picture thing because you're the big leader. So I'm thinking, what should Larry be talking about with a Weidel hierarchy? Should I continue to ignore him? I started the big hitter call to basically ignore him because nobody was paying attention to me because they'd heard me for 30 years. It's like, what else is he going to tell us? So I thought, man, everybody's got that problem. Your people, you get better and better, see the business clear and clear, but they get tighter of hearing it from you. So what I thought was so magical about the big hitter call is we could solve all of our problems that have organizations all at once. We could kick off the week by restarting and re-energizing our people, by letting them listen to somebody who probably would be the kind of person who would come in from a fast start school and blow their minds. Well, you could have their mind blown to every Monday morning, kicking off the week before you even start your manager meetings with your full-timers and all. I thought, man, what an advantage. And people to hear that the message is with the big hitters is unified. So anyway, that's why I started the big hitter call. But I've been doing it since January of 2008, and I want explosive growth. And so this is the 10th Operation Warpath call. I was doing them a half hour, Mario, on Monday afternoons, because that's the only time I could find that I had in my schedule. Of course, it's inconvenient, hard to get the word out, because my organization is very wide, very deep, and they got a lot of things coming in. And I was thinking about it last week when Art was talking. You reach the point where you got too many meetings, and the meetings interfere. And I tried to keep short and quick and brief, and it was, but we got enough meetings. And so I said, you know what I'm going to do? So I did 10 of them. And I really wasn't getting their attention. I was getting some of their attention. And the big, the bell cows, I was getting their attention. But I said, I want to get more attention from the Weidel hierarchy. Plus, I want to stir up more competition where if the Weidel hierarchy doesn't get off and start growing, they're going to get their brains beat by other people because somebody's going to be interested in what Larry's got to talk about. So I'm going to talk about building bigger things than big hitters. This is the Beyond the Big Hitter program, Mario. And I did it. So I said, I don't know how to get people excited about doing anything but going for number one. I'm a great believer in going for number one. And to me, I'm calling it now the Mario Arrizon principle. And that is everybody deserves a chance. The reason why we sell it big, because we don't know who's going to be big. And on the front end, everybody deserves the chance to be treated like they could become number one of the company. They could set all the records. And that's what the carry-outs did with Mario coming in. And he was like number one to district, number one division of the country, number one region leader, number one RVP at MIT going in. And then when they had the reunion thing, he was number one coming back. He goes to convention, he's number one. He's number one for probably a decade with his base shop. And number one. I call that the Mario Arrizon principle. Go for number one, because I don't know how to get anybody excited about going for number two. There's just some kind of stink about being number two. And so there's an excitement about being number one. So if I like to make things, Mario, easy on Larry. And if everything starts to get easy for Larry, if Larry is fired up, and there are almost very few people, percentage-wise, we got a lot of people fired up, like Elvis, fired up. So anyway, I said, what if our hierarchy, we do around couple of 3,000 recruits, couple 3,000 and our 20, 30, I don't know how much in premium, but it's around the twos. And Buisan, number one of the companies, up around 12. When Art had me shut down my base shop, I was 6 months into a game plan to do two things: build $1 million base shop, and I was already had put things in place. I was 160 wide, 150 wide at regional leaders, and my game plan was to have 150 wide in the base, and with an average of 5,000 to 7,000 in premium. And then we could slaughter everybody. We could build $1 million base. And then the hierarchy goal, which Andy reminded me, we'd had all the RVPs in, and we'd signed up we were wanted to keep on growing so we could be bigger than the rest of the company be combined. We don't want to just be bigger than we saw. We want to be bigger than the rest of the company combined. Because I knew we need to have a big vision, because we had gone from we'd done the 56, the 1,800 to 7,200 to 15,000. And I knew even back then, I was smart enough, I'm in my early 30s, but I was smart enough to know I got to have a big vision or we're going to go into a slump. And I don't think if you win the Super Bowl let's win one more and prove we're not losers. That's not really a rally theme. I think you got to find some kind of thing that blows your people's mind as a goal and causes you to be at your best. And if you get your butt beat, you're not at your best, because a well-run company should never slump. And the leader ought to say, anytime we get beat for any reason, my fault. I got to get better. That's what I was saying. I want to have one thing you got to do is have a monster vision. So that's why I had the $1 million base shop goal for the base shop. And that's why I had, let's beat the rest of the company combined. I knew we had to have some kind of monstrous goal, Mario, to go beyond 15,000 recruits a year. And then Art shut my base shop down and basically put a bullet in my head. But I was the only one in the history of the company, to my knowledge, I don't know of anybody else, a big base shop that one day go to Willie Naranjo and say, okay, Willie, shut down your base. You're growing too fast. Go to Mario Arrizon and say, okay, you too, Mario. Sorry, shut your base shop down. You're growing too fast. We can't handle the people you're promoting. Well, that's what they did to me. And so I've forgiven him for it, but it doesn't mean I'm not still bitter. And because the next year he installed base shop bonuses in all your California cutie pies like Hector and Rick and Mike Sharp. They were just coming into their own. Their base shops were just taking off for the first time. So they look like heroes. What the crap, Art? You just neutered me, took me to the vet and neutered me. And now you're giving base shop bonuses for producing kids. Thank you very much. But anyway, that's the fun I've operated under since 1985. But anyway, and then it's like you want to find things to motivate your team. So I'm sitting along, at this stage of the mature hierarchy. I said, what could get their attention? And we ain't got their attention yet, Mario. But when you start something big, I thought if I go live with this and go big, it'll make me better on the big hitter call. And I want to start talking about bigger things. And this has already had an impact on me. Hadn't got my attention on my organization yet the way I want. But it takes a while, Mario. You got to go 6 months or longer when you start talking about bigger things. It takes a long time so they'll know you're serious. So you'll get better at saying your message. And you got to pound the drum for about 6 months anytime you want to launch any new bigger campaign when you already have an organization. So you can't give up. And Andy Young will tell you, there's many times we've started game plans where we only had a couple of people participating on a monthly thing. And then it looked like it took forever to get up to 200 people plugging in every month. And then a year later, you're like 2,500 coming just in 12 months. So you can't get yourself off track. But I said, I want to accelerate this thing. I'm going to get on the big hitter call. I want to talk to Mario about it. I want to give him some of these ideas. And maybe he'll get on a tear and maybe he'll inspire people I can't inspire. But anyway, I'm going to try and speak this into existence in some hierarchy, if not my hierarchy. So the idea is, here's what it made sense to me. We're around the 3 mark, and Wison's around the 12 mark, because you got to beat him in recruiting first. If we double twice, Mario, if we go from 3 to 6, and then we double again, we go from 6 to 12, we get really sell out to duplication, 4-point game plan, compounding, race the district with new people going in, challenge him to get 3 recruits right off the bat. We get into a compounding thing. You know what I can do? I can build more than big hitters. I can build 1%ers. And you know what 1%ers can do? 1%ers can build armies. Because if we're going to be doubling twice, see, we double twice over the next 3 to 5 years, we'll be staring Wison in the face. And we get that close, don't let us get that close, Bobby. Don't let us get that close. When I got that in my mind, and I could talk to my people about that, Mario, I'm a different kind of leader. I could talk about going beyond big hitters to building big armies. Squeeze out the mediocrity, show the fine line between mediocrity and greatness. And right now, it's caused me over the last 10 weeks of doing these calls is I've become more focused on developing 1%ers who will build armies. It become very clear to me, we got to have people who can build. It's going to take lots of armies to beat Wison because he's got the Hector army and the Tuttle army. They all roll up to each other. The Hartman army, but there's leaders in there that have done stuff. And he's got you in there, and it all rolls up to Wison. So let's just see if we can beat his butt, because that's what I wanted to do when Art shut my base shop down. It's like the revenge of Larry. So that's when I'm most fired up, when I'm going for something big. And then you go from timid to bold. And because normal things get more boring the longer you do it. I want more fun, more excitement. And my whole question to everybody is, how about you? Are you really fired up? Or have you gotten a little lukewarm? Have you gotten a little stale? 1 to 2% of the market is lukewarm. You know what God says about the lukewarm in Revelations? I'll spit you out of my mouth. So anyway, that doesn't mean your salvation, but he's certainly not going to be enthused about your contribution when you're lukewarm. So I'm going to hit the accelerator. I know that if you're going to climb a hill, even if you're in a car, you got to keep your foot on the accelerator. And I'm going to see who can keep up. You can talk a good game when you're coasting, but you can't when you're racing. And so I want to get something that, and I challenge all of y'all, get something that will blow your own mind. And then you get the chance to taste the unmitigated exhilaration of doing really unbelievably great things. And I'll tell you this, it's so rewarding, it's unbelievable. In the same 24 hours of the day. So why not go for it and give you a chance to do it? It adds a dimension to your life you can't imagine. So I would say my whole challenge is turn your butt loose, because you fit here. I was summarizing. You beat 50% of people by working hard. You beat 40% by being organized, having your management philosophy, the fundamentals you believe in, and you teach and you emphasize with your people. That's why I would say follow those Art Williams best, because he's pulling out the key fundamentals. Each one of them are important. The bigger you get, the more these fundamentals come into play. If you got a little Cub Scout troop you're measuring right now, maybe you only need 2 or 3 fundamentals, but you get a mega army. You can build armies. Different situations come up, different mixes of people, and you need to really have your fundamentals down. And here you got the guru, the godfather, the founder, still alive, walking the earth. I said to him in January, I said, Art, you're supposed to be dead. You're in your 70s, and your dad and your granddad died of a heart attack. You've had a darn pacemaker since your late 40s because of that. I said, why do you think God's got you on the earth? Because you can fire people up like nobody. You got a gift nobody else has. And he can start talking stuff. Who knows what he says, but when he's through, they might not remember what he said, but they're so fired up, ready to go conquer the world, they can't see straight. It's like breathing. How often do you breathe? As long as you want to be alive. When should you listen to Art? As long as you want to grow, as long as you don't want to have slumps. And so that's what I say about Art. And the quibble over, he said this and he said, who gives a crap? Most of the people are not listening anyway. It's the effect he has on him. But I'm going to address some of those other things anyway. So anyway, Mario, I went too long, but I did it for me. I did it to get the attention of my people. I did it to be a better version of myself and just see what I could explore. I did it to raise the sights from being a big hitter to being $1 million earner. And I'm going to start a podcast. It's going to be the $1 Million Locker Room, or $1 Million Training Locker Room, $1 Million Locker Room with Larry Weidel. I'm going to put my phone calls primarily, and I'm going to put sections from this. Anywhere I talk, anywhere, I'm going to put the things relating to building. Because if I call and I talk to Omar, if I talk to Andy, I'm going to start recording this stuff and make it where you guys can listen in. We need more $1 million earners. Mario, that was it. Oh, here's the thing. So you beat 40% more. You beat 90% of the people by working hard and having a management philosophy. Be systematized. Know what you're about. Know what you're going to do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Know what you're going to do in the morning. Know what you're going to do in the afternoon. Know what you're going to do in the evening. Know what you're going to do on the weekends. Know what you're going to do in January. Know what you're going to do in February, March, April. Have the year lined out, your schedule of your big events. When the week starts, have your schedule lined up. All the big people do. Why can't you? Start now. And inspire and sell people on, don't just tell them to come, sell them on coming. You make it so darn good they can't wait to get in on that. And you know how you're doing enough on your meetings? If you're excited about it. If you're excited about it, you're going to be able to get them excited about it. So if people are not excited about your meetings and your people are not fired up, it's your darn fault, because you're not excited about your meetings and you got to change things, or they're never going to change. And so that's what this is all about, because when you work hard and you do the management philosophy, you start looking around at those and you're beating 90% of the people, you say, I wonder if I could beat everybody else. And what Art said is to beat the last 10% is a dogfight. But you know where the fun is, Mario? The dogfight. Because you're past the basics. You prove to yourself you're not this really insecure person showing up at meetings. You got some confidence. You got some people. You got some momentum. You know what you're doing. Now you're looking for a fight. How can we have some fun? Real fun. How can we kick it into higher speed? And because the faster you grow, the quicker your people have success. You're going to be okay. It's not going to change your income that much. Who cares if it does? It's just more money you're going to save. But your people will have success quicker. And you know why that makes them? Happier, less problem. They squeeze your people that are growing, squeeze out the problems in your organization. When you stop growing, you don't have people at the top happy because they're blowing and going, squeezing out the gripers. And so when you stop growing, the gripers say, oh, nothing's happening. Let me grow. Let me have the podium. Let me tell you what I'm unhappy about. Let me what I didn't like. And let me this and the other. Somehow they keep their mouth shut, Mario, when things are blowing and going. So anyway, that's a little bit why I'm started Operation Warpath. I want to go get Weidel. I want to see if we double twice. I want to see if I can get my hierarchy fired up. I want to see if we can start producing more one percenters, million-dollar earners. And I want to see if we can get some guys to build armies and accelerate the growth. And I want to see how much fun I can actually have from this. Oh, by the way, Mario, here's the kind of thing that opens up other areas of your life. I'm opening my own gallery in Worth Avenue on Palm Beach. Worth Avenue is like the Rodeo Drive of the East Coast. That's why I live down here. I mean, you got all the best of the best. But I'm opening my own gallery in Worth Avenue. 1,600 square foot. You got high ceilings. You got chandeliers. Every painting in there. All my photography. I got some photography in there. All of that's mine. The dream come true. It's just the kind of thing. I'm doing it as a dream seller. By the way, it's 329 Worth Avenue in Palm Beach, and everybody's welcome. And we got people in South Florida. Feel free to shut your full-timer meetings down and come in at 12. It'll only happen once in history where we have the big unveiling. Everything's on the wall, but we're going to start tearing the wrapping off so everybody can see this stuff at 12 noon here in Palm Beach today. So South Florida, from Miami to Orlando, you guys, you're all welcome to come. 329 Worth Avenue. It's just you can do unbelievable things. It's exhilarating. It's fun to see people go in and be a part. When you do things, you say, I'm going to try something crazy. This is something crazy. But people see you doing something crazy, and that sparks them to think, wow, if I just bust my rear, get off my butt, and do something great, wow, what could open up something I could do? Bob Weidel has had recording studios for his daughter so she could be a country music star. He bought racetracks for his boys. They had their own racing team with racing cars. For another one, he bought a camp in Louisiana where they could do it for disadvantaged kids. That was his passion. You can do amazing things, Mario. It's exhilarating. We got to turn this thing into an exhilarating thing. So anyway, that's why I did that.
Wow, Larry. That was powerful and inspirational. Hey, Larry, you know what? You're talking to me. You're talking to me on this call. Man, I needed to hear those words. Man, so powerful.
For those of you who are sick and tired of fooling around and are dead serious about wanting to move up fast, I've got something especially for you. I've combined the best insights from over 40 years in business and making $70 million in income and compressed them into a free webinar. That's right, it's a free resource. If you want to find out exactly what the concepts are that I use in coaching million-dollar earners, register now at WeidelOnWinning.com. You'll discover the 5-part framework used by so many to reach their financial, personal, and professional goals. You can find that link in this episode's show notes.
And Larry, one thing that I hear all the time from you is success is not an accident. What does that mean? And how important is clarity?
That's one reason I want to do this call, because it's so easy to get, when you're confused, you stop. You start thinking, and success doesn't come by itself. You got to have a game plan for success. That's the whole thing about having a management philosophy. It's one thing to work hard, but if you don't have some kind of game plan and some kind of system, you're just going to be floundering around a good bit of the time. Usually that's all it takes to beat half of the people. But if you want success, you got to be organized for success. It's just like if you stand throwing darts, you got to at least look at the target, lock in the bullseye, and get your hand and like, I'm going to throw it at that. You're not just going to like pick up a dart and just close your eyes and start slinging them around the room and magically hit a bullseye. You got to at least get some kind of game plan. You got to find, where's the target? You got to focus on it. Then you got to start throwing darts at it. Might have to throw 100 or 1,000 before you actually hit the bullseye. But at least now you've increased your odds of success. So success is not an accident. If you want success, you want to maintain success, there's certain things you have to do. In our business, you got to get your darn op meeting right. Most of you guys, op meetings suck. You know why it sucks? Because look at your growth. Everything's wrong with your business comes out of your op meeting. Because the new people come in, don't get sold in the right things. And the people that are doing the op meetings are not being reminded of the right things. We used to talk about the bigness of the market in the company. That was in the op meeting because we wanted the new people coming in to see this is big, the opportunity is big, and also we wanted the people doing the meeting to be reminding themselves as they talk that this has come a part of something big. This is my identity. I'm not just rattling off stuff. I'm part of something big. And we wanted to sell them on success stories. There's success stories everywhere. And we want to remind them of that stuff. We want to bring them in to say, things work here. We want to get them locked into where they want to be successful too. Like you said, it's inspiring for me to talk about this crap. This is what I want to be talking about. This is what kept me going. Like people say, Larry, why do you keep on working on? Because I like doing crazy stuff. I just still can't tolerate mediocrity that much.
Guys, this is Breakfast with Champions. I'm listening with the intent of becoming just like the speakers, man. And just imagine if everybody went for number one. Mario, doing a phenomenal job. Thanks so much for everything. And now back to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Larry, you want to keep going or you want me to ask another question?
Yeah, let me just say one thing. Success, not an accident, clarity. And I'm going to get to clarity somewhere. We got to have time. I'm going to try and clear up some other things. But you got to be definite. You got to know what you're all about. You got to be clear what you believe in and how you're going to do it because you're working with trainees, and trainees are like young kids growing up. It's like they question everything. Why do we have to do that? Especially if it's something they don't want to do. If it's not fun and going to Disneyland, and if it's not eating candy at dinner, they're wondering why. Why do we have to eat the vegetables? Why do we have to get up and go to school? Why do we have to do homework? Well, because you don't want to grow up working minimum wage the rest of your life or being on the side of the road begging for money. Get your butt out of bed. Let's go. They're rock stars who raise their kids with no discipline, and they eat candy all their life. And by the time they're 8 years old, all of their teeth are falling out of their mouth. They look like black holes, these kids, because they had no discipline. Because the parents were just la-di-da. I don't want to force them to do anything. You got to force the little heathen to behave. You got to train them up. You're a high school football coach, and everybody comes out for preseason in August to get ready for the football season. You guys do what you want. If you want to run some laps, just get in shape. They're going to say, I'm in pretty good shape. I don't need to run. I don't need to develop any. I got pretty good endurance. Thanks, coach. I'm good. Then they go out there and they get slaughtered 182-0 in football because the coach let them do what they want. So the deal is you have to organize you have to be clear about what you believe in because they'll try and talk you out of it. That's the thing about clarity. But like in the op meeting, we had clarity about what we were all about. A lot of y'all not clear. The reason your people go around in circles, your op meeting goes around in circles. What are y'all about? We were very clear. We're a talent agency for financial services. We're running a big talent surge. Now, we got room. We got 2 jobs at sales, but we have the big one. The big opportunity for the people that are most talented is the sales management thing because we want to build people to make 6-figure and up incomes and run their own organizations as fast as possible. We're in the race for outlets. That's where we're in right now because it's such a big market. And so we're in a talent search for quality people, and we don't know who's going to be good and who's not. But if you want to be the best football program in the country, I'll promise you Alabama's got a better recruiting program than anybody else. Like Kirby with Georgia. Kirby Smart was on the interview after they slaughtered Kentucky, who was supposed to be so great, on Saturday. And they asked him, how did you guys do so good? He said, why is the program so good? He said, we got good players. They played hard. We had a good game plan. But he said, mainly recruiting. We got the right people on the field. And he said, the other thing, they're tough. They're tough. And guess how they got tough? The way he trained them. And so You got to have a good game plan. You got to have you got to go through enough of the right recruiting numbers to have the right people leave. Who's the best in your team? The best out of one. You recruit one person, the best person's going to be 1 out of 1. You recruit 100 people at base shop, the best one that month is going to be the best out of 100. So how good do you want your people to be? And then when they come in, what do you want to plant in their mind as the first thing? So we plant success stories, bigness, and then we plant sales versus sales management. Sales is wonderful. We need millions, but limited. If you want more, 24 hours in the day, and pretty soon you're going to get as good as you're going to get. You're going to make it all you're going to make. And then if you get sick, you go on vacation. Sorry, you're not going to be out there working. Income stops. But in sales management, wow, unlimited income, unlimited security, unlimited fun, unlimited challenges. Because you can recruit and train. You're not limited by your ability. In sales, you're limited by your ability. So you better get out there and self-improve your darn self, because you're all you got. And when your feet hit the floor, when you get out of bed in the morning, your whole organization is right there. I like the idea. I got an organization going coast to coast, even if my feet never hit the ground in the morning, Mario. And so that's sales management. And you walk them through sales management. When they're excited about sales management, then you control them about how they're going to get started in the business. And that's why my game plan was a 4-point game plan. Everybody comes to the op meeting, so they're apart. Everybody's on the same page. Everybody's unified. They come through that same portal. There's not 1,000 ways to join the company. You come through the opportunity/orientation meeting. Then you race to get your own game plan. If you're in the market, you're going to need it. If you're unhealthy, you don't have good health, you can't qualify. But if you're out of the market, you're not going to need it. But that's why you want 9 out of 10 or 19 out of 20 to be in the market, so you can get paid to recruit these suckers. And you get your own game plan. Now you got something to talk to people about. It's true now because you got one. But without that, you're just going to be a weakling. You're going to be going out there and words are coming out of your mouth, but nobody can hear you because they can tell you don't believe in it. So that's your third thing. And then the fourth thing is, once you got that out of the way, is you hit the ground running, racing for districts so you can prove yourself that you are good enough. And then the other thing is you get them out of that, but you reinforce bigness. I did at every full-timer meeting, and I say every, in my mind it was every, maybe it wasn't every, but I felt like I did it every time. I started off as, let me ask you guys, what kind of team you want to be? You want to be big or small? They say big. I'd make them say it 3 times, big or small? And then by the third time, it'd be like, big. And then I'd go, okay, we want to get big. That's how I'm going to coach you. Now, let me ask you a question. You want to get big fast or slow? Fast or slow? Fast or slow? Fast. I said, okay, now we got our game plan. We want to get big. We want to get fast. That's how I'm going to coach you. If you want it easy, I don't know how to coach you easy to become an Olympic champion when everybody else is out there fighting for it. And when you got lots of changes, lots of work to do, because we want to compress time frames. We want to get you the big incomes as fast as possible. When you get to the big income, we want it to keep coming in. We don't want this little fakey promotion and fakey thing. You want to get a check one time and go. When I got my first month, you know what I got paid, Mario? $22,000 in July of 1980. That's the equivalent of $70,000 in today's economy. You know what I said to myself? I didn't say, Yahoo, spread the money all over. You know what I said? I never want to make less than this the rest of my life. And pretty much the way it turned out. I only went under 20,000 barely 3 months ever going forward. So anyway, I had a policy. So those were things, Mario, as far as success and clarity, that's one reason for the Warpath thing. I want to be clear about going balls to the wall for something big. If we find out how good we are, they say we will never be beat, and it's certainly not by some puny little group like the Weidel team. Let's see. Let's find out. I'd like to find out. So anyway, Mario, that's about success and clarity.
That was awesome, Larry. Thank you so much for sharing. I know a lot of people are getting a lot of I have group meetings, I have WhatsApp, and they're going crazy and putting little fire marks that you're just dropping some really good nuggets that are inspiring people. And one thing, talking about clarity, Larry, what were your guidelines? What challenges did you have for RVP? For for your RVP promotions and stuff?
First of all, let me just say, when it comes to, you got to have a replacement. Even Art said that. Thank God for that. You're not going to have an RVP factory if your top guy goes out the door and then you don't get a replacement. But I'll tell you that there's a couple of everys on replacement too, Mario. So you got to get your brain right about replacement, because that's at the root behind guidelines for promotion. All right. There's a couple of everys when it comes to replacement. Every regional leader at one time or another felt like they were being held back or they were being punished with too heavy a promotion. I'm not saying it lasts long. It might be for only a flicker of a second. It might be for a month or two or three, or it might be their entire during career. But everybody has felt that way. All I know is I gave up 75 licensed people when I went to North Carolina at a time I couldn't afford it. But I had to start over. You got to replace yourself. And so get over yourself, your replacement. The bigger your replacement, the more you understand it, the more committed you'll be to get good replacements. The worst thing that can happen to you is not give a replacement, because then the rest of your life you're going to be weak on replacements, and that means you're going to be weak in your base shop. And if you ever get it going and you ever burp out an RVP, that's it. You're going to take almost no replacement. Even if you didn't give a replacement, folks, that's no excuse for you to not take replacement. You take replacements to replenish your base, but also it's a growth thing for the person going out. If that's too tough for them, they're not ready to go. The fact that people feel resentment about giving a replacement shows they're not ready to go, because they're too tied, their whole future tied to that one or two or three people you took. And they feel like, oh, Lord, there's no way. They're so important to me. Get over yourself. You're going to be if you're going to be successful, you're either going to be doing it all yourself, or you're going to be recruiting tons of people. The world's full of people. Can I remind you, we're only doing 1% of the market? And so the other every is that every RVP who made a promotion, a lot of promotions, has made a mistake. And exceptions, mistakes and exceptions. That's one way you find out. So big darn deal. Hopefully you're going to make a lot of it. Art Williams was the top of the list on that. When I made my first replacement, I called Art, and the guy wanted to move away, and he didn't really have anybody yet, and he wanted to offer me his group that were behind. There wasn't even a manager in there yet. And Art said, okay, you let Richard go, but you tell him if these guys all go belly up, you're going to have to come back later and get a replacement from him over in Virginia Beach. That's what Art Williams told me. Within 6 months, he got on and damned everybody to hell and said he'd fire your ass if you went back and tried to get another replacement later after you identified it. And I said, wait a minute, Art, you're the one who told me to do that. So anyway, we figured these things out along the way. And also the guy, Art, he's the godfather of it all, but he's a human being. He's also the one that said, I'll fire your ass if you run your organization with fear and intimidation. And we were like, that sounds an awful lot like fear and intimidation, Art. So realize when you deal with Art, you're dealing with a very special once in money generation type human being, but he's still a human being. And he got where he is, not because he's some genius who God just gave this massive vision on it. He figured the crap out. Okay? And so we all agree also, we're stupid to his thing about holding people back. You're stupid to hold people back. They resent it. They never forgive you. You make them emotional cripples. When they're inspired to go, it's like you cut them off at the knees. And then the whole idea is that you want to build independent, strong, gung-ho leaders. And you don't do that by holding people back. Let me say something about Mario about the compensation. The deeper you go, second, third, fourth, fifth generation, don't look at that for growing your income. You look for growing your income from your first, your seconds, and a little bit from your thirds. That will grow your income. But no matter how they try and manipulate the commissions, they can't give us big money for the fourth, fifth, sixth, and they don't give us nothing after six. So you got to look at that as security, Mario. But you still can't. I'm not going to promote anybody because I don't make anything on Second Spirits Force. I'm just going to keep them in as long as I can. Then you're making them weak. And then they resent you. And then it's counterproductive, let's just say. You got to promote them when they need to go and figure the compensation system will eventually be right. But you got to look at profitability comes from width at the top and security. Like right now, I got 4.7 in assets under management. 4.7, is it billion, Taylor? Yeah, billion. And I don't think I don't even think is it billion, Taylor?
Yes.
Yeah, billion, 4.7 billion, me, Mario. And I don't think there's one security sale. I don't think there's one security sale in there that I actually filled out the paperwork. That's the value of a team. But I don't make any money off a lot of that stuff. But you know what it is? Security. People quit, it rolls up. People quit, rolls up. May not get much off of it, but it's pretty secure. And so once you get money coming in, you want that money to keep coming in. You want my guidelines. I'll give you a couple of things about my guidelines for promotion, and maybe we can pick that up later. Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
I want to get some stuff on the table. People get tired of talking to me if I talk too much. But I want to start talking about $1 million earners. I want to talk about building armies. I want to talk about going beyond big hitters. And
no, Larry, this is powerful because this is why I plugged into the Big Hitters Call, because I always heard you talking about big vision, putting it out there, and your enthusiasm, like that's huge. Even when you're talking about, hey, if your meeting sucks because you're not excited about that. And guys, this is fundamentals that work all the time, that worked 40 years ago and are true today. If your team's not excited about it, it's because the leader's not excited about it. And there's so many great nuggets that you drop, Larry. Honestly, we're grateful for you. And thank you for pouring your passion, your heart, your enthusiasm. You can hear it on this call and your knowledge. And Larry, one of the things, just to be clear, because you hear all these different things on how people build it and stuff, and you have your guidelines, and you were actually there. You were there when this thing was erupting. You were leading the A.L. Williams team. What was Art Williams' guidelines? What was it back then? You remember?
They changed. We probably won't have time to get into it. They had changed. The printed guidelines in 1978, when I came, see, Art never ran a base shop. We run a base shop because when he ran a base shop, it was all RVP over a bunch of salespeople. And then they had a district promotion in there, but they only doled out, like he said, like 2 a year or something. So there weren't many districts. So I wouldn't aspire to be a district leader because all I could do is be a salesman. And then Bob Turley overrode me. And so he wasn't really interested in recruiting because, frankly, I didn't do a whole lot and he didn't make much off of me. So he wasn't really fired up to get a whole bunch of knuckleheads like me in there, because you get a big shop when you have layers of management. The printed guidelines I took to North Carolina was to be a district, you had to come full time because there was no part-time management. That came up a year later. And then, Mario, you had to have, these are printed guidelines. You had to do 50 solo sales after you were field trained, and you had to fit $50,000 in cash in the bank. That was the printed guidelines to go to district. And what if we did that for RVPs now, even the ones who don't bill replacements? So I asked Art once, I said, hey, Art, how about this whole thing on 50,000 in the bank and 50 solo sales? I said, it's going to be tough here up in North Carolina for me to get some districts. What about that? He goes, Larry, sometimes you have to make exceptions. Things change, but Art never produced. In the beginning, the first RVP promoted, we had 7 original RVPs because they had the offices. We went independent. The first RV promotion was Bill Arender. You know how Bill Arender was announced as an RVP, or how he was promoted, the fanfare that we do over RVP promotions, and the wife on stage, the husband, the spouse on stage in tears, and the flowing speech, and someone on stage, the crowd stands, and you present them with a plaque, and you make a huge. You know how Bill Arender was promoted to RVP? Art walked out of his office. He walked out of his office one day put a paper, stuck it on the bulletin board and said, Bill Arender promoted to RVP, and walked back in his office. So we got better. We got better at all this stuff. And we grew. We learned from each other. And so I think that's probably enough information for today. But I would like to get into it, but I want to have time to talk about it. The RVP guidelines, challenges, and everything. And I can tell you what Art did for me. I'll tell you this. Mr. Art, I'm not talking behind his back because I must probably see him a little later today. And we've had 1,000 conversations at lunch over the golf club over this thing. But I swear he's Groundhog Day. The next, I'll win it. He'll say, "You're right. I don't know what I was talking about. People are not holding them back. 100,000 all-day shops are good." He said, I need to leave that alone. But then the next day, he'll be right back to it again. So I don't know. It's just one of those things he's got a glitch about. But here's the way I always win the argument. I said, all I know, Art, you were pretty blankety blank excited when I went to RVP in ninth month after promoted with 142 or 147,000 in premium, back when the average app premium was $300, Mario, and I did 580 sales to get 140, and that was off a lousy 180 recruits or 190 recruits. And I said, all I know is you're pretty excited about that, Art. He goes, yeah, I understand. Yeah, I was. I said, you didn't say anything about me holding anybody back, And by the way, I'd already promoted an RVP. I promoted an RVP my second month. And guess where he was on that same month in April, 9 months after I went to RVP, Mario? His name was Joe Covington. Guess where he was in the standings? He was in 7th place with 80,000.
Wow.
Okay. And so nobody accused me of having too high standards, because when you're growing, people don't gripe. It's just like you. People understand when you're growing, they know it's going to work out for them. The people that have all the pushback on everything they do, basically, but especially about guidelines for promotion, standards of excellence, strong replacements, and RVPs who get grief on that, the ones who are not growing. So that's where my sympathy is limited, is get your darn base shop growing and watch how everybody shuts up about that. But I would like to get into the RVP, my guidelines, basically guidelines and challenges I gave people for their RVP promotion. And because I want people to be clear, I want to be confident. You got to be clear and confident. And it's like explaining things to kids, and they're going to question you. But you got to be bold. You got to be aggressive. You got to be strong. And Mario, you ever get challenged on stuff?
Absolutely. All the time. But you know what? You're absolutely right. It's always with the ones that are struggling. It's never the ones that are growing and they're extremely never. It's like, hey, best coach, let's run the play. I'm like, wow, these guys, no wonder they're big, the winning. No wonder they're big. It's that mentality. Clarity equals power. And we learned that. I've done a lot of mistakes in the beginning that made people question me. So I got better at being clear. So thank you for sharing that. And Larry, I don't know if you want to hit on this today or maybe next week, but you have a gift on keeping your team focused on recruiting, on doing it big, on fast growth. We would love to hear from that. You either to finish the call or next week. It's all good. It's all welcome. But how'd you do that?
I spent about 20 minutes ranting and raving. I got asked that question on Friday with Gurpreet Singh's group, and they'll probably tell you I was pretty darn rough on them. But the thing is, if you got a huge goal, it's like it's clear to everybody, we got to grow the team if we're going to do that. So one thing, it's not a big enough goal. It's not immediate, and you're not holding people accountable for it's like you want more income or not. Thing is that how do you expect to grow your income if you're not going to grow your team? And how are you going to grow your team if you don't have new recruits coming in that you're training and see who's going to stick? And then how is that new growth going to last if you don't produce managers out of it? And so growth to your income, growth to your base income, Mario. Got to think of your income as a window. It's like, how high can it go in a month and how low can it go? See, what you want to do is grow the window of your income. You got to start getting money motivated and thinking about what you do, because you're in business and you run business to make money. People like, boy, do recruit, and that's how I lose my focus. What are you? You're in business for yourself. You're in charge of your paycheck. There's only one way for you to grow that thing, and that is first start with recruiting. There's three ways to growing your income, and that is the first wave is get the recruits in. You follow behind that by training them, internal consumption, get them locked in. The first step of locking them in is get their own program because now they're really excited and now they really got something to talk about with credibility to their friends and family. And now they're like true believers. And then the people that hold off from that, they never amount to anything. They're timid. They hold back from everything. But the people who buy in on the product, not forced to buy, don't buy what you don't need. You always have to say that. But the people who need it, see it, buy it, they're not holding back. They're running away. And that's, you want to find out about them early on. Why you're going to waste time on somebody who's not going to wholesale commit to this thing. But then you go in, and so you get recruits, you get them trained, so you get some money coming in. And that's why there's no excuse for your income to go down when you're recruiting, because they're immediately going to turn into income from premium and their own personal consumption. And then you're going to race and get more recruits and the same thing. And then it's going to explode because soon they're going to be in management training people themselves. So you race them to management. So they're going to have places to go and they can make three income streams. So you race them to district right after they get their own program. So I guess there's no race. If I had to guess, Mario, people lose focus because they ain't racing to grow their income. I want to go to $1 million fast. You know what? I want to chase my potential. I wanted people to chase their potential. I wanted them to get it. It's big. It goes back to how I started the full day. I want to get big, and I want to get big fast. How big is big? Let's find out. How fast is fast? Let's find out. Depends on how good you are, how bad you want it. You say you want it? Let's find out if you're good enough. Let's get big. Let's get fast. Maybe we rewrite the record book. I don't want to be guilty of selling myself short. I don't want to be guilty of selling you short. Let's get after it. So those type things. Mario, so this is helpful?
Very helpful. What an impactful call. Man, I know you talked to a lot of people's hearts and their minds on you just gave a lot of us clarity. So thank you so much, Larry, for pouring into us. We're very grateful. And we look forward to hearing more from you, Larry. It's always awesome that you get to interview the big hitters. But, man, you're one of the biggest hitters this company's ever seen. And it's crazy not to turn it around and hear from you and your mindset. And you're a modern-day Napoleon Hill. Think about that. Larry, that's what you've done. And not only have you studied the people that are doing great things, but you actually did it. And 99.9% of the time, when you interview someone, you actually did it much bigger. And you're so humble, and you put the spotlight on other people. And that's what makes you an amazing leader, Larry, that you're a servant leader, and you push all of us up, including myself. So I'm very grateful for your friendship. I call you Uncle Larry because I really see you as my family member, Larry. You're the type of person, how much you impacted me, that if you needed me at 2, 3 in the morning, I know you're in Palm Beach, man, I would get on a flight and fly over there to help you because that's what you mean to me. So thank you so much, Larry.
Thanks, Mario. We're going to ask Mario Munoz to allow us to bump him back so we can keep this going next week, because the incredible Mario Munoz news deserves his place in the spotlight, and we're going to get him in there ASAP. But in reality, Napoleon Hill never directly worked with people teaching his principles for 40 years, producing $1 million earners. So at the end of the day, Napoleon Hill, as good as he was, Dale Carnegie, who did they produce directly? And so the thing is, you learn things by producing directly. You guys out there in the field know more than the Napoleon Hills and the Dale Carnegies. That's what I'm trying to stir your butts up so you can see who you are, how good you are. That's why I want people listening to you. That's why I wrote my book. We could have 1,000 books out there because people need to be listening to what you guys got, because China's racing to take over the United States. There's a video out there about their growth of their great gross national product. It's frightening how fast they're growing. What you guys already know, we need to get you guys a bigger platform. So that's what I'm doing, I'm bringing the Warpath message out to bring out the best in me, and also to see who wants to go absolutely ape in this thing. And by the way, 329 Worth Avenue, grand opening. We're going to have the unveiling, only one time only. Then they'll all be on view permanently. But come see us. It's fun. Get your vision expanded. All right. Thank you, Harvey. Everybody have a great week.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Million Dollar Mastermind podcast. Commit to your personal and professional evolution with our free training video. It's designed not just as an educational session, but as a transformative journey for those bold enough to aim for the stars. This isn't just any webinar. It's a roadmap to achieving the extraordinary. It's tailored for those who dare to dream big, and yes, it is completely free. Join us in a network of ambitious professionals ready to take their careers to new heights. Secure your spot now at WeidelOnWinning.com, and let's unlock your potential together. Thanks for being part of this community.